lot of good things happening. But politically, that lady that talked, I think it is difficult probably to get that issue very high on the priorities, sadly.
Yeah. No, I agree, and I think it's interesting that it's the farmers and the agricultural movement that is probably the best environmental stewards here in the United States. I mean, even when you look back into the 30s and see what some of what wasn't called an environmental movement back then. And you're also right, I wasn't living in the country at that time, but I do remember it went to the Senate and it was soundly defeated. But also at that time, I did pass to Washington briefly, and the rhetoric that was going on, I felt, was just so incorrect, too. I mean, the assumption was immediately if we joined Kyoto, it would be economic disaster for the country. So I think a lot of the votes were made under very false assumptions. I mean, I think it's also shameful that the United States has not ever ratified the Convention on Biodiversity. And again, that's an issue. It has to have strong leadership from the President, and it has to have strong leadership from the Senate because they appoint or they approve the treaties. But I do think the United States should be a leader in the environment, and it's too bad that we gave this opportunity to Russia instead of ourselves. So, but yeah, I mean, not all Democrats are good environmentalists either. That's definitely true. Go ahead, sir.
I'd like to respond. I'm an environmentalist, and David Hurd, he's a head of principal, insurance emeritus. He headed or co-chair of Iowa Environmental Council. He was co-director of the governor's energy policy task force. He hosted an environmental caucus for Cary. Norris was there. The movers and shakers of the environment were there, recycling, the Sierra Club. And to me, this shows that Cary cares about the environment. He's for renewable energy and energy efficiency. And this is one of the reasons I support him. But this was an opportunity I had in Des Moines. It was the first Wednesday in January to participate in an environmental caucus.
Well, good.
I just wanted to respond to that.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
there are opportunities.
I think there are. Yeah, I honestly didn't really know much about the environmental record of Senator Kerry either, because he didn't really talk very much about it. You're right that it hardly ever came up. I have seen the environment.
Why supports the environment?
Well, the Heinz Foundation, yeah, they do. But I mean, the environment did not really enter into the debates, into the discussion in any sort of important way, which I found very disappointing. I mean, I vote in Illinois now, and we had a very spirited senatorial race there. And I don't think the word environment was ever once uttered by Barack Obama or Alan Keyes, and it's just unfortunate. I think in the Phil Crane, Melissa Bean race, there was some talk about it because there's some issues along the shoreline there, but it's not central to the platform of either party right now.
I had a question about some other countries where the price of gasoline is much higher than the United States, and I was reading an article by Robert Kennedy Jr., who said that the reason that gasoline prices in the United States are so much lower than the rest of the world is that we actually subsidize the oil companies to the tune of $65 billion so that they can make profits off the gasoline that they sell in this country. Do you think that that's true? Because obviously gasoline prices in other countries are much higher than in the United States. Why is it that gasoline prices are so low when we have such a scarce commodity, yet these oil and gas companies obviously do very well in the stock market? I presume it's because of the $65 billion subsidy.
Well, subsidies are a problem across the board. I wouldn't say it's just in the petroleum industry. I mean, the one issue that did kind of come up in the debates was the gas tax, and they said that Senator Kerry wanted to raise gas taxes, and I think that that's not the correct way to address that issue. But I don't know if the figure is correct about the petroleum companies, but almost in many industries there are subsidies here, and they are, if you're a good economist, they are not proper. I mean, look at the fishing industry, which are also subsidized by many billions of dollars, and that's what makes fish so cheap, and it also is why cod is now ecologically extinct, and many other fish are ecologically extinct. So subsidies are a distortion to the environment and to the market. And I don't know if the petroleum industry gets lots of subsidies. A lot of industries do, though.
David, one of the reasons that gas is higher outside our countries is because, outside the United States, because the other countries, we have taxes, but that's where taxes are really hit hard.
Yeah, that's probably true.
That's where they really get big revenue.
Yeah, my experience of, well, I was a driver in Fiji, was that gas was very expensive there. Of course, everything was expensive because it was an island. But, yes.
In a typical year, how many proposals do you receive across the board? How many of them do you approve? How much money do you distribute? And how long does it take for you to see the result, the fruition of the investment you have made?
Okay. Well, for the foundation as a whole, we have assets of $4.6 billion. And according to the IRS tax code, a private foundation remains tax exempt as long as you give away 5% of your assets every year. And that includes the operating costs. We generally give grants in the $200 million range, and then the rest is eaten up by administrative costs. We're also running about 10,000 proposals a year. There are 130 staff in Chicago reviewing those. Within our environmental program, I typically, myself as one staff, will review maybe 100 to 150 proposals a year, of which I probably will approve maybe 15. I have personally, in my portfolio, I'm managing grants, probably about $10 to $12 million worth of grants, but I give new grants every year in the range of $4 million. And so, I mean, I'm running about 10%, although the asks are much greater. I'm currently working on a package of grants for the Eastern Himalaya. I'm going to take it to the board next March, and I'm going to have $3.8 million in grants. I received 50 applications for $23 million. So this is a case where the money being given is a little bit more than 10%. But also the Eastern Himalaya has fewer organizations working there, so last year when I was doing for the South Pacific, I had more like 80 grants, applications that came in. But then sometimes we will also give grants without an application. We have a process called the Large Institution Grant, and I was able to get one this year for the University of South Pacific. So a $2 million grant was given to the University of South Pacific that they didn't even ask for. But that what we do through our due diligence when we're looking at a grantee that we think is doing very good work and we see a need, we will actually just go to them and say, we want to give you this money so you can do this. And so that also happens. But that was quite an extraordinary event because they are not an American organization. And so the process of going through the due diligence for a non-American organization to see that they meet the U.S. tax code and are equivalent to what is called a 501c3 nonprofit status here in the United States is quite extensive, and it took us many, many months. But I think it was worth it.
We just want to thank David so much for coming tonight. I'm sure he'll answer some questions if you'd like to talk to him afterwards. So thank you again.
Thanks.